Brian Thompson fighting extradition to New York. Luigi Mangione made that decision during a hearing in Pennsylvania yesterday, where he is facing charges for forgery and carrying a gun without a license. Mangione was arrested in the Commonwealth on Monday, ending a 5-day manhunt. A judge denied bail for the 26-year-old suspect. He's now expected to remain in custody at a state prison in Huntington. Before his hearing yesterday, the suspect shouted this to reporters.
I'm completely out of touch and an insult to the intelligence of the American people and lived experience.
The Manhattan District Attorney's Office says it will now
What does
seek...
that mean? And
Nothing.
it's lived experience.
Well,
What is that?
it will now seek a governor's warrant to extradite Mangione to the city, a move Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul says she supports. Prosecutors have charged Mangione with second-degree murder, forgery, and 3 gun offenses.
We're also learning more this morning about the potential motive now behind the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. When police arrested Luigi Mangione on Monday, they found a 3-page handwritten note. Senior law enforcement officials tell NBC News the document had fewer than 300 words and included a note to law enforcement. It reads, quote, "To the feds, I'll keep this short because I do respect what you do for our country. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I was not working with anyone." The writings also included an apology and a line that reads in part, "These parasites had it coming." New York City police now looking into whether the shooting was a culmination of the suspect's troubles, calling the murder a possible symbolic takedown in a fight against, quote, corporate power games. According to people who knew him, Mangione had suffered a painful back injury and had stopped connecting with friends and family. Police are investigating if that may have been a motive for the attack. Police also believe Mangione admired the Unabomber and allegedly echoed his own concerns about technological advancement. The suspect had posted a positive review of the Domestic Terrorist Manifesto on Goodreads, a site, earlier this year. Let's bring in the NYPD's Chief of Patrol, John Schell, and NYPD Deputy Commissioner of Operations, Kaz Daughtry. Guys, good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Chief, I'll start with you. I said the other day, we've become kind of spoiled in the city because you guys move so quickly, and when a crime happens, we've become accustomed, because of the work you do, the cameras that we have in the city, to those quick apprehensions. This went on for a few days. Can you talk about, from the moment of the killing, the murder of Brian Thompson, forward, how this investigation played out for you?
Well, the detectives from the get-go, Chief Kenny's detectives from the get-go, had a multitude of pieces of evidence to go through. And just to explain the process, you're talking about the gun, ballistics, video canvassing, forensic evidence, the laborious task of tracking cameras to the park, to the hotel, getting those pictures out. A tremendous amount of work they were doing. And really, when you think about it, at the end of the day, getting the picture out, good old-fashioned detective work, to the community.
Yeah.
Thank the press for getting it out. And a couple of employees and citizens from McDonald's raised the alarm, called the police department. A young rookie cop who had to enter McDonald's, approach a murderer with a gun. And how this all played out was just a great job from our detectives and the community and the media at large. It was a nice team effort to take this person off the street.
So, Deputy Commissioner, something we've been talking about since yesterday is you had that clear shot, that photograph from the hostel where he pulled down his mask very briefly to talk to the clerk at the hostel up on Amsterdam Avenue. This is the shot right here. That's a pretty clear shot of his face. So the question we had yesterday when we heard all these family members and people we went to college with talking about their shock and their surprise, did you all hear from anyone over the last several days since that photo went out who knew him, who said, "I know who that is"?
Well, yes and no. Let's talk about how the photo went out, first of all. Myself, the Chief Shell, the Chief of the Department, Jeff Madry, and as well as our Police Commissioner, Jessica Tisch. The Chief Kenny, while he was briefing the Police Commissioner, she said, "This photo, we got to get out immediately." She goes, "Somebody's going to know him." And immediately she gave the authorization to put that photo out to the media. Tips started coming. I think we got over 400 tips that came in. So we're still vetting these tips. And I want to say to your viewers that if anybody has any information in regards to this case, to please call 1-800-577-TIPS. Just because we have the suspect in custody, we still have a lot of work to do.
You know, Chief, I know we're wading into a political issue. It's not your job. Your job's to enforce the law. I'll just ask a question this way. Would your job be made easier? Would the NYPD's job be made easier if there were more cameras up in this city, like in Central Park? Because it seemed like we had the trail, he goes into Central Park, and then nothing. Wouldn't it make sense to also have cameras positioned so we could have followed him wherever
we there's a multitude of cameras in the city, private businesses, CEOs, police cameras.
Right.
Even Central Park has cameras on the outskirts. That's how we're allowed to track him. The detectives track him from the park to the hotel. And what we do so well, and again, it's so hard to track video. It takes time.
Right.
Boots on the ground. Video compilations are the key to success here. And that's what happened here. So there are a lot of cameras out in the streets of Manhattan, as you well know.
Right.
Buses have them. Sanitation trucks have them. We could always
But
take...
the city doesn't really have. Like London, for instance, has CCTV all over the place, right?
They do, but I'll tell you, we have a tremendous amount of cameras in this city. We can always take more, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But
you're not.
but there's more than the public really knows here. And again, just the boots on the ground, going building to building, tracking this person, detectives tracking this person across the city. And you put the video out from the cab now with the eyebrows.
Right.
That was
Really
that was key
good
here.
look.
So these detectives are working 24/7.
So to Willie's point, though, did you guys hear from his family and friends? I mean, this is a very clear. I mean, these pictures are pretty clear. If you know this person, wouldn't you recognize him?
I mean, the picture you showed before of him standing outside in front of the house. So, if you saw me, my mother saw me, my dad saw me, they would be like, "That's Kaz's daughter."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, like I said before, we have over, I think it's more than 400 tips that came in. We're still vetting each one of those tips, but thank God for that. The customer that was in the McDonald's. Thank God for the store.
No, I get that, but where were the parents? Like, where was the family? Where were the fraternity brothers? Where were all the other people they saw? Yeah.
I think, again, post-arrest investigation here, I think all these things will be asked and answered in time. Because, like we said, when the picture went out, the thought process from everyone was like, if someone knows this person, they say, "Hey, that's John," and that'll all come out. There's still a lot of work to do here. It really is.
So, Chief, I know the investigation's still in its early days, but can we speak more about motive? Writings were found with this individual when he was apprehended. It does seem like at least some of it against the healthcare industry. Do you have a sense as to, was this solely targeted towards this particular company? Why United? Was he also looking to strike at other companies?
So our intelligence bureau, our FBI, and detectives will go to that manifesto word by word and figure out what everything means. But at the end of the day, he clearly had an animus towards the healthcare industry. This was a targeted murder against one person, and how that the motive on the surface looks what it is, but when you dive deeper into it, maybe some of those questions will be answered. Like I said, a lot of work to still be done here to figure out in totality what went on here.
Yeah, Deputy Commissioner, just gleaning what we can from his writings, he had a back surgery that was painful. That's obviously not a motive to kill someone. I'm sorry he had a bad back surgery. But do you worry about the lionization of this guy that we've seen in some reaches of the internet and even spilling out into the public, where they view him as, I don't know, a hero in some way because he's going after somebody who runs a healthcare company that they perceive as being unfair to other people? Does that concern you, copycat kind of stuff here?
It does concern the agency, and actually it does concern the commissioner that raised that point. But this guy's not a hero. He's not a hero. If you have any issues with somebody, we don't go out there and commit violence. We don't go out there and commit. This guy committed cold-blooded murder on our streets, and that's not something that we tolerate. And I don't think that he's a hero for that.
Let's follow up on the weapon that was found. The idea that it was a ghost gun, potentially manufactured in a 3D printer. Tell us just the challenge that poses to law enforcement, because those are so difficult to trace.
Right, so ghost gun, you can't trace it. There's no serial number. You order parts and you put it together with 3D printers. So in terms of investigation, if it went on, we would never be able to track that firearm because it didn't have a serial number. What we will do now is we'll take it to the lab. Detectives will take it to the lab and test fire it, and we'll take the ballistics from the gun and match up to the ballistics at the scene, and we'll see if that's a comparison. So that will be done as part of the post-arrest investigation.
And what can the public do right now during this phase to help you guys do your job better?
Yeah, I like I said before, I would like the public to call 1-800-577-TIPS. Even though we have all of these tips coming in, we still have to put, when I say we, the Detective Bureau, Chief Kenny and his Detective Bureau have to put together a a good case to present to the district attorney's office. This guy will be back in New York City, and he will face time. I hope he faces time. He will face a jury and a judge of his peers in New York City for his investigation.
Joe, if you look back at the last 3 major incidents in the city, this is a key point if everyone to hear. A couple weeks ago, we had 3 people stabbed in the city and killed.
Right.
What happened? A civilian followed the bad person and alerted our cops who made the arrest.
Right.
2 weeks ago in Queens, a person robbing stores, shooting. A civilian followed the bad guy and alerted our cops. And we got through shooting and we stopped that. And now you look at the other day, again, a civilian, put a picture out, a civilian from McDonald's workers. So we say all the time, see something, say something. The public's eyes and ears are a force multiplier for public safety.
Yeah.
Always go with your first reaction, because guess what? It's normally your right reaction. So that's we ask the public to see something, say something.
Yeah.
Keep safe, get involved a little bit, but look at those 3 major events. How the public helped the public safety of